Hi, I'm Skinny Cheeks, and this will be part 1 in a series of videos that is aimed at helping people become more effective damage dealers in the Elder Scrolls Online. There are numerous ways to go about dealing damage. This includes an extremely wide range of options that are viable for overland and questing content, but narrows down to a much smaller set of options once you reach veteran hard mode content. As you move into more difficult content, it will be more important to have high DPS from your group, and more optimization will be needed to achieve these results. This series should be especially helpful for new players, either to the game or to the MMO genre, but we'll also have a lot of useful information for veterans of the game as well. I definitely learned a couple of new things while putting this all together. I've also done a full written guide for this as well. You can check it out now on Owlcast's website, owlcasthq.com, and I'll put the link to that written version in the description below. For part 1 in this series, we'll be talking about Magicka versus stamina builds, and then go through a few of the in-game systems related to dealing damage, including armor penetration, critical hits, and armor weights. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Damage dealing setups in this game are divided into 2 options for each class, Magicka or Stamina. For example, you can play as a Magicka sorcerer or a Stamina sorcerer. Which of these 2 routes you choose to go with your character is really up to you, and both are viable options at all levels of gameplay. As a Magicka damage dealer, you will generally focus into abilities that use Magicka as the resource, and as a Stamina damage dealer, you will focus into abilities that use Stamina. There are a few small exceptions to this, but we won't worry about that for now. There are also hybrid options that can do okay for easier content, but don't have the same high-end potential as focusing specifically into Magicka or Stamina. Depending on if you are a Magicka or Stamina DPS, you will look for different main stats to improve your damage. For Magicka, these are spell damage, spell critical, maximum Magicka, and spell penetration. For Stamina, these are weapon damage, weapon critical, maximum stamina, and physical penetration. Spell damage increases the damage that your Magicka-based attacks hit for, and weapon damage increases the damage that your stamina-based attacks hit for. There are a few exceptions to this rule, like the Dragon Knight's ability Inferno. Even though this ability is Magicka-based, it will scale with your highest offensive stats. So if you're building into stamina and weapon damage, it will scale with that as well. Abilities that function this way should have a special indicator in their tooltips. For spell critical and weapon critical, this increases the chance for each of those hits to be a critical strike. Magicka increases your resource pool for using Magicka-based abilities, and Stamina increases your resource pool for using Stamina-based abilities. Similar to spell and weapon damage, Magicka and Stamina also increase the damage that your attacks hit for. In general, every 1 point of spell or weapon damage is worth 10.5 points of Magicka or Stamina when determining damage increases. So for example, 100 spell or weapon damage adds about the same damage as 1050 Magicka or Stamina. And then spell penetration and physical penetration ignore the enemy's armor in the amount of the bonus. So for the standard 1487 spell penetration bonus, 1487 of the enemy's armor is ignored for Magicka-based attacks. And physical penetration also operates in the same manner for physical-based attacks. So let's dig a little deeper into this armor penetration system in ESO. Enemies in Elder Scrolls have armor that reduces the damage that they take from your attacks. Overland enemies have 9100 armor. 4-man dungeon and 12-man trial enemies have 18,200 armor, so double the amount of overland content. Maelstrom Arena is an exception to these rules, and there are guides available for the specific armor amounts present for each round, but no PvE enemy goes over the 18,200 amount of armor. So what exactly does this mean? Theoretically, if an enemy NPC had 25,000 armor, they would mitigate 50% of your damage. So 50,000 armor, they would mitigate 100% of your damage. However, the highest armor level for PvE enemies in the game is 18,200, as mentioned before. So if you divide that out, you'll see that 18,200 armor will resist 36.4% of your outgoing damage. Please note that your character's armor works differently and is based around a 33,000 value for 50% mitigation instead of the 25,000 value. And this 50% value is your cap. Anything you add over this 33,000 amount to your resist will be wasted. Alright, so how do we get around this armor on our enemies? Armor penetration is the means in which we cut through the armor to get more of our actual damage value instead of the mitigated value. If we have no penetration and go against an enemy with 18,200 armor, they will resist 36.4% of each of our attacks, as noted earlier. So if I hit with an attack that should deal 20,000 damage, it would only deal 12,720 damage. However, if we had 18,200 penetration in our build, they would not resist any of our attack, and we would get our full attack value. So our 20,000 attack would hit for 20,000. There are also abilities and sets in the game that debuff or lower an enemy's armor. Just a few examples of this are the Pierce Armor skill in the one-handed shield line, Templar's Power of the Light ability, and the set Roar of Alkosh. So most of the time, it's not necessary at all to bring the full 18,200 penetration in order to get the full attack value. You'll want to make sure to coordinate with your group on which abilities and sets are being run, so you'll know exactly how much penetration to bring on your end. Also, it's good to know that any penetration over the enemy's armor amount will be wasted and not increase damage further. So just another reason to make sure to work that out with your team. Now I'll go over critical chance. In ESO, critical chance is a bit different from most other games and built around a system with flat number amounts instead of percentages. You'll notice on set bonuses there will be numbers like 833 critical. So what does this mean? 21,912 critical equals a 100% chance to critically strike. You can divide this out and see that 2191 critical will give us a 10% chance and 219 critical a 1% chance. So with that 833 critical set bonus we saw earlier, you can divide 833 by 21912 and you'll see that it is a 3.8% bonus to your critical chance. You can do the same division with any flat critical bonuses you see in the game to find out what kind of percent increase you're getting. I'm really not sure why ZOS decided to go with this system over just showing us the percentages. It seems a little more confusing than necessary, but it is what it is and that's how it works. For critical damage, whenever you successfully land a crit, it is a 50% boost to damage done at its base level. There are also many ways within the game to boost this higher, including champion points, gear, Mundus Stone, abilities, and passives. You'll often see this boost over 100% additional damage at in-game levels. And finally, I'll go over the different armor weights. We have light, medium, and heavy. Light armor is the preferred choice for Magicka-based DPS setups. This is due to the passives that are gained from the light armor skill line, and also because the set bonuses on light armor are generally more beneficial to Magicka-based builds. In the light armor passive skill tree, you gain 2% Magicka cost reduction and 4% Magicka recovery for each piece of light armor worn. If you have at least 5 light armor pieces equipped, you also gain 2191 spell critical, which is 10% crit chance, and 4884 spell penetration, and the ability to cast Annulment, a damage shield ability. Medium armor is the preferred armor choice for stamina-based DPS setups. This is due to the passives that are gained from the medium armor skill line, and also because the set bonuses are generally more beneficial to stamina-based builds. In the medium armor passive skill tree, you get 328 weapon critical, 2% stamina cost reduction, and 4% stamina recovery for each piece of medium armor worn. If you have at least 5 medium armor pieces equipped, you gain a 15% bonus to your weapon damage and the ability to cast Evasion, an ability that reduces incoming area damage by 25%. Now we have heavy armor. Wearing a full set of heavy armor is not recommended for PvE damage dealing. And this is because none of the passives that are gained from the heavy armor skill line grant damage bonuses. However, there are some sets that are classified as heavy that happen to have good set bonuses for damage. A couple of popular examples are Elfbane for Magicka and Berserking Warrior for Stamina. We can still use these sets on a DPS by slotting the items as jewelry and weapons, or jewelry and 2 body pieces. This allows us to still run another set that is in the correct weight for our build and still get the strong light or medium armor tree passives. Because of this, you will only be able to run one heavy set, and you can't do 2 heavy sets together in your setup without suffering a significant damage loss. Well, that's going to be the end of the first in this series of guides. I hope the information was helpful. As I mentioned earlier, this is available in written form, link to that in the description. If you have any questions, feel free to leave me a comment or drop by my Twitch channel. I definitely try to get all of the questions answered while I'm streaming. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.
Everybody do the G. Everybody do the G. do the G. Everybody do the everybody do the G.